We need to learn how to recognize God's grace and how to know when it's not there. That will help you so much. You know, there's very few things that you do your entire life, and there are times to stop things. And when God wants you to stop something, His grace will lift off of it. And if you learn how to sense that and know what it is, you won't keep trying to do things 10 years after God's finished with them. And I'll give you a good example. For many, many, many years, every year I traveled out of the country 3 times a year for 3 weeks at a time and did mission trips. And I loved them. I looked forward to them. The work was hard, the jet lag was bad, the food was usually bad. But I really enjoyed doing it. It was fun for me to be on television in a place for maybe 20 years and then go there and have a couple 100,000 people come out to a meeting, and the only way they even knew to come was because they'd been watching me on television. So it gave me a good sensing of just what kind of an effect the TV was having. And this went on for years. I did like 67 mission trips. And then all of a sudden, well, maybe kind of gradually, I started just not looking so forward to them. And then it got worse, and I actually started dreading them. And then I just flat out didn't want to go. But I kept going, because that's, after all, that's what I've been doing. And don't we get like that sometimes? Well, that's just what we do. We don't know why we do it anymore, but that's just what we do. And so then it got to the point where we would go to a place and set up our crusade, which those things are not cheap, and our permit got pulled. And then we couldn't have the thing. We went all that distance and couldn't have the thing. I went to one place, and all the people, I was in Cambodia, all the people got inside the arena, and it had electric gates. And when everybody got inside, they turned the power off, so the electric gates wouldn't open to let me in. The worship team was in there, the people were in there, but I couldn't get in there. So I said, is there any way I can get in the building? And they said, well, not unless you want to jump up on the trash can in the back and hop over the fence. So what do you think I did? I got on the trash can and hopped over the fence, and I went in. But my point is it started getting harder and harder and harder. Then I got blacklisted in India. Somebody managed to get my name on a list for me to not get in. Long story short, I finally got it through my head, God doesn't want me doing this anymore. When He wanted me doing it, I had favor and doors were open. Everything was well oiled, and it just went smooth. Come on, is anybody listening to me? But then when it started, like everything was hard and everything was challenging. There was no favor, and permits were getting pulled, and I couldn't get visas, and I didn't want to go anyway. And so finally, and it was so hard for me to give up, because that meant that I was going to have to watch somebody else do the things that I had been doing, and I didn't want to. See, sometimes when we've been doing something a long time, we're kind of like addicted to it, and there's a part of us that doesn't want to do it, but a part of us that does want to do it and doesn't want to give it up to somebody else. And so finally, and I was about 70 at that time, finally I thought, you know what? God just doesn't want me doing this anymore. And the reason was just simply because it was, see, you have a certain amount of energy for your whole life, I think. And if you use it all up here, you're not going to have any for down here. Well, you see, now I'm 80 and things are getting a little bit harder. And so God wanted me to stop doing that because it was getting too hard on me physically. It was taking longer and longer and longer to get over the jet lag. One of the smartest things that I've ever heard is this: only a fool thinks they can always do what they've always done.